fuck?
The film opens in Paris, where a professional assassin has been holed up in a rundown apartment for days, patiently waiting for his target to appear. He stares out the window at ordinary people going about their daily routines, completely unaware of the deadly operation unfolding above them. The monotony of surveillance work weighs on him, so he passes time listening to music and doing yoga to stay sharp.
Attention to detail. Redundancies.
When hunger strikes, he ventures down to grab food from a local restaurant, maintaining his cover as just another face in the crowd. During his outing, he checks in with his handler via phone, confirming he'll wait a few more days to complete the job, always careful to keep communications brief so no one can track his signal. Back in the apartment, the killer uses binoculars to monitor the building across the street, where his target is expected to arrive. As evening approaches and foot traffic dies down, he begins setting up his rifle, methodically preparing for the shot. His concentration breaks when he hears footsteps outside the door. His body tenses, hand moving toward his weapon, ready for a confrontation, but it's just a mail carrier shoving letters through the slot. He exhales and returns to his position by the window, scanning the hotel across the way, but his target still hasn't shown up. Exhausted from days of waiting, he sets an alarm, arranges some bedding on a table, and catches a few hours of sleep.
Sleep deprivation didn't qualify as torture. Vigilance is essential.
When the alarm jolts him awake, he immediately checks the hotel again, and this time, his pulse quickens. The target has finally arrived, accompanied by a young woman. The killer shifts into full operational mode, making final adjustments to his rifle and calculating wind resistance and bullet drop. Across the street in the hotel room, the woman entertains the target, pouring him drinks and dancing seductively while he relaxes on the couch. Through his scope, the killer watches every movement, waiting for the perfect moment when his target will be perfectly aligned. The woman continues her performance, completely unaware she's dancing in a sniper's crosshairs. Finally, the target moves into the ideal position. The killer steadies his breathing, fingers the trigger, and fires. But something goes catastrophically wrong. The bullet misses the target entirely and strikes the woman instead. She crumples to the floor as blood spreads across her dress. The target's security team immediately spots the muzzle flash, and guards rush to close the curtains while pulling their client to safety. The killer's mind races. Years of meticulous preparation, and he missed. There's no time for self-recrimination. He rapidly disassembles his rifle, stuffs everything into a bag, and bolts from the apartment. On the street, he jumps on his motorcycle and speeds through the narrow Parisian streets, discarding evidence along the way. He tosses his rifle parts into different trash bins, throws his jacket over a bridge railing, and scatters anything that could connect him to the shooting. Behind him, police sirens wail as they converge on the area. He weaves through traffic, cutting down side streets and alleys, using his knowledge of the city to stay ahead of the authorities. Eventually, he reaches an isolated area where he abandons the motorcycle and walks to a nearby public restroom. Inside, he scrubs himself thoroughly, changes into completely different clothes, and transforms his appearance. When he emerges, he looks like a businessman heading home from work. He hails a taxi to the airport, maintaining his calm demeanor despite the chaos he's left behind. Before entering the terminal, he disposes of his remaining weapon and the last pieces of compromising equipment in a trash receptacle near the entrance. Inside, the airport buzzes with normal activity, but he immediately notices police officers with a drug-sniffing dog stationed near the check-in counters. His training kicks in. He diverts to another restroom where he washes himself again, removing any potential residue that might alert the dogs. As he cleans up, his phone rings. It's his handler, and the conversation is tense. The handler explains that the client is furious about the botched assassination. The target, now fully aware someone tried to kill him, has massively increased his security detail, making any future attempt impossible. The handler's voice carries an edge of threat that the killer recognizes immediately. After the call ends, he destroys his phone, crushing it and tossing the pieces into a trash bin. He moves to the waiting area, trying to blend in with other travelers, but his instincts scream that something is wrong. A man wearing dark sunglasses sits across from him, and though he pretends to read a newspaper, the killer notices he's watching him. On the plane, the same man takes a seat with a clear view of him, confirming his suspicions. He's being followed. When they land, the man in sunglasses is still there, maintaining surveillance. The killer reaches his hotel and sets up defensive measures at his door, items that will fall and alert him if anyone tries to enter. He sits on the couch with a knife in his hand, ready to kill anyone who comes through that door. He waits all night, muscles coiled, but no attack comes. At dawn, he decides to check on his safe house in the Dominican Republic, a secluded property near the ocean where he's stashed emergency supplies and where his girlfriend has been staying. When he arrives, something immediately feels wrong. He spots fresh shoe prints near the entrance and several cigarette butts scattered around. evidence that someone has been here recently. The door shows signs of forced entry. He enters cautiously, finding furniture overturned and bloodstains on the floor, but no bodies. His girlfriend is missing. Panic sets in until he receives a call informing him she's in the hospital. He races there, finding her brother in the waiting room. The brother explains that two attackers, a large man and a woman, broke into the house. They weren't there to rob the place. As soon as they entered, they began beating his sister, asking questions about the killer's whereabouts. She refused to tell them anything, so they continued the assault until they thought she was dead, then fled in a green taxi. When the girlfriend regains consciousness, she confirms the attackers were looking for him, but insists she revealed nothing. Rage consumes the killer. He returns to his property and begins digging in the backyard, unearthing a buried safe filled with weapons, false identification documents, cash in multiple currencies, and clean clothes. He loads a suitcase and begins hunting. He drives through the city searching for green taxis, eventually learning that this particular taxi company requires advance booking. That night, he breaks into the company's dispatch office, holding the security guard at gunpoint while he searches their computer system. He finds the record of the taxi that went to his house, identifying the driver's name and address. He books that same driver for the next day. When the taxi arrives to pick him up, the driver, a man named Nick, has no idea he's driving into a trap. The killer, disguised as an ordinary passenger, pulls his gun mid-ride. Nick immediately offers his wallet, assuming it's a simple robbery, but the killer wants information. He demands to know about the two passengers Nick picked up from the airport 2 days earlier. Terrified, Nick describes an elderly woman and a muscular man who asked to be driven to the safe house address. He waited outside as instructed, but heard violent sounds from inside. When they returned to his taxi, both had blood on their clothes. He drove them back to the airport and never saw them again. The killer now understands. His handler, Hodges, sent those assassins to eliminate him after the failed Paris job. They attacked his girlfriend when they couldn't find him. The killer travels to New Orleans, where Hodges operates from a legitimate-looking office. He rents a van and swaps its license plates with stolen ones. The next morning, he disguises himself as a maintenance worker and enters Hodges' office building alongside a courier, keeping his face down to avoid cameras. He makes his way to the office of Dolores, Hodges' assistant, who freezes in terror when she recognizes him. At gunpoint, he forces her to take him to Hodges' private office. He makes Dolores tie Hodges to his chair, then locks her in the bathroom. Hodges, sweating and pale, asks why he's there. The killer smashes Hodges' laptop and demands answers. Hodges explains that after the Paris failure, the client became enraged, insisting that all loose ends be eliminated. The client is an extremely powerful man who can't afford any connection to the assassination attempt. He gave Hodges the contract to kill his own assassin. The killer demands the names of the two people who attacked his girlfriend, but Hodges refuses. In a cold fury, the killer executes him.
It's to turn around right now, walk out that door, go embrace your next life.
He then returns to Dolores, who frantically offers a deal. She'll provide the names and addresses of the two assassins in exchange for her life. The killer agrees. She gives him a file containing everything he needs, including information about the client who ordered the original hit. But as they leave with Hodges' corpse, the killer breaks Dolores' neck and throws her body down the stairs. He never intended to let her live. He drives to a remote location where he dismembers Hodges' body, scattering the parts in different areas to prevent identification. He meticulously cleans the van, restores the original license plates, and heads to Florida, where the first assassin, a man called Brute, lives. He spends the entire day surveilling Brute's movements, learning his patterns.
Contact your veterinarian if you experience vomiting.
That night, he breaks into Brute's house, moving through the dark rooms with his gun drawn. But Brute is no amateur. He's been expecting this and attacks from the shadows. A brutal hand-to-hand fight ensues. Brute is powerful and skilled, landing heavy blows that crack ribs. They crash through furniture, each trying to gain the upper hand. The killer finally manages to grab his gun and shoots Brute multiple times. The gunshots wake Brute's dog, which charges at the killer, barking furiously. He runs outside and slams the gate shut, just as the dog reaches it. To destroy evidence, he sets fire to the house, watching flames consume it before disappearing into the night. His next target is in New York, a white-haired woman known as Expert. He follows her to an upscale restaurant.
The prime prime suspect is always the husband or boyfriend.
Where she's dining alone. Rather than simply killing her, he sits at her table. She recognizes him instantly and with eerie calmness invites him to share what she calls their last meal together. She knows why he's there. She offers him a drink, which he initially refuses, suspicious of poison. Expert explains that she and Brute didn't want to kill him, but after he missed his shot in Paris, the client demanded it. She acknowledges that he's come for revenge. They continue their conversation over drinks, then step outside for air. As they walk, Expert suddenly stumbles and falls, reaching up toward him as if asking for help. But the killer notices the knife concealed in her other hand. He shoots her in the head before she can strike. He knew the moment of vulnerability was a final trap. The last target is in Chicago, a wealthy businessman named Henry, who was the original client behind everything. The killer conducts extensive surveillance, noting Henry's routines and security measures.
I don't think this guy's Mossad.
He photographs Henry's keycard at his private gym during a free trial session. Using equipment ordered online, he creates a duplicate key after briefly stealing Henry's wallet from his gym locker, copying the card, and returning it before Henry notices. That night, he uses the fake key to enter Henry's luxury apartment. Henry nearly has a heart attack when he sees the intruder, immediately offering money. But the killer shows him Hodges' business card. Recognition and fear wash over Henry's face. He admits he hired Hodges to eliminate a business rival, his first time ordering such a thing. When the Paris job failed, Hodges called saying the target survived. Henry says he told Hodges it was fine, these things happen. But Hodges insisted they needed to eliminate all evidence and witnesses connected to the job, including the assassin himself. Henry claims he simply said, "Do whatever you think is best," insisting he never specifically ordered the killer's death or the attack on his girlfriend. The killer studies Henry's face, trying to determine if he's lying. After a long silence, he lowers his weapon and walks out, leaving Henry alive and terrified.
And you have no idea why I might be here? If I have to come back, maybe a radioactive speck on the lip of your favorite coffee mug.
The killer returns to the Dominican Republic to his girlfriend, who has recovered from her injuries. He's completed his revenge, eliminating everyone directly responsible for the attack on her. He decides to retire from assassination work permanently, choosing instead to live a quiet life with the woman he loves. The film ends with them together, two people who've survived a world of violence, trying to build something normal from the wreckage of their past. If you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more movie recaps.